today. Holly says welcome back to Leah's Leaves. Hi, Holly. It's windy today. I hope you can hear me okay in the video. It's a pretty day. Today is a full garden update. I haven't been on in a while. My mental health has gotten the best of me recently, but I'm rebounding and back out in the garden and catching up. And the weather had a little bit to do with that as well. We're having pleasant weather. So I want to show you what's cooking so far and some of the plans yet to be accomplished. Beginning here with the cylinders. If you remember from a previous video, I got these clay pipes from a Facebook Marketplace post. They were free. And I brought a bunch home. I made 2 beds out of them. This is one of them. This is a 3 sisters bed. That is orchard baby sweet corn, miniature corn, and then Long Island cheese pumpkin on the right, and yellow doll watermelon on the left. And then once the corn gets a little more established, some Kentucky Wonder pole beans are going in there, and they'll be able to climb up that bamboo trellis. In the pink kitty pool, I have on this side toward the camera is Rutabaga, which I'm growing for the very first time ever. Very excited about that. On the back end, from here over, is Radicchio, which is also a new crop for me. And then turnips. These are Market Express turnips. And in another few days, when the greens are a little larger, I will harvest all but one of those plants and eat them as greens, and then let the rest grow into turnip bulbs and eat the root later. Here's the other clay cylinder bed. This is an herb patch right now. And hi, Holly. So I have some salad burnet, rosemary, sweet marjoram, cilantro, thyme, and some bok choy and some radishes growing in here. And I have more herbs to put in and some radishes to harvest, to swap out. Eventually, oh, and there's some broadleaf sage. I didn't know that had survived, but it did. Hi, little baby sage. Next to the rosemary. That's exciting. So this is all my kitchen herbs. Not all of them, but a good portion. Oh, and then some chamomile. That, I believe, is Zloty Land, which I got from Baker Creek. This is a fun little bucket display I have going up the steps to the silo, since that silo is just used for storage now. And all the white buckets have peppers in them, and all the blue buckets have dwarf variety tomatoes in them that won't grow more than 2.5–3 feet tall, will require very little staking, and will have plenty of room to grow. Plus I have some extra steps that I can expand or move them around as they need space. Nice thing is it keeps them off the ground, which mitigates pest pressure and puts them in direct sunlight without crowding my limited ground space. Sort of a vertical bucket garden. The green stock took a long time to get established. I planted this out a couple months ago, knowing that some of the seeds would wait until the weather warmed up to germinate. And so we're getting some. This is ultraviolet mustard, some auroch, that's new for me, spinach, lots of bok choy and brassicas, some lettuces. Some of the things that didn't come up, like I had some Shasta daisy seeds, they did not germinate, and some nasturtium. I'm going to replant the nasturtium, but I'm not going to worry about the daisies because, oh, there's some baby sorrel coming up. That's good. That's a new plant for me. Some, I believe that is Tom Thumb lettuce that's coming up there. And then some solar flare lettuce. This is one of my favorite lettuces. And there's some red beets. Anyway, what I was going to say about the flowers is I have some really cool micro tomato varieties that I wasn't planning on having earlier in the season. I have them now, and I'm going to stick some of those in these pockets. They won't grow more than 10 to 12 inches tall, and so there's plenty of room in a green stock pocket to support a micro tomato, and it's in a bright sunny spot that gets lots of exposure to sun, and I think they'll do really well here. This little patch is looking sad, but it's finally planted out. I will need to replace a couple of the sunflowers that just took they got a little too overgrown in the seed tray before they got transplanted out. But basically this is the south side of my home, and it's exposed to full sun 3/4 of the day, and there was nothing growing here, so I just did an above ground no dig. Like, there's just a layer of cardboard under there. Hi, Claire. You all see Claire through the screen? She came out to say hi. Hi, Claire. Everybody can hear you on my video now. Thanks. Anyway, I put, a thick layer of compost, and in it I planted some sunflowers and acorn squash on this end. And then in the middle is growing some okra. And in among the okra is a Minnesota midget, cantaloupe. And then on this end is more corn. Some of it was just direct seeded, so it won't come up for another week or two. I have some bodacious hybrid sweet corn. It's one of the sugar enhanced varieties. And some pumpkins. Guess the pumpkins are in the middle, and this is the cantaloupe. Anyway, I'm not worried about cross-pollination, even though I'm planting I'm planting melons, squashes kind of all near each other, because I'm not going to be saving seeds from these this year. My goal in the garden this year with all cucurbits was just to grow a bunch of them, but I'm limited on space, so I can't give them the recommended spacing. I mean, some places say that in order to ensure a lack of cross-pollination, you have to plant up to like 750 feet apart. I just don't have that. So instead, I've just made the conscious decision to not worry about seed saving. They won't cross this year. So if you've ever been concerned about that, like putting two plants in the same plant family together too closely, it won't affect this year's crop. It'll affect the seeds that you save that could potentially produce crossed varieties next year. Also, something to know is that even though, say, watermelons and squash are both cucurbits, they're not the same species, so they won't cross. Like, you can plant a pumpkin next to a cucumber and you won't get a cross. Now, if you try to plant a pumpkin next to a squash, say a sugar pie pumpkin next to an acorn squash, then yes, you're going to get the possibility of a crossbreed. Zucchini is a type of squash. They're in the same plant family, so yes, you could get cross there. But cucumbers are different from watermelons and cantaloupes, muskmelons, and honeydews. Those are different from pumpkins, so just be aware of that. You can always Google it if you need to clarify in the future which is which. This is the in-ground bed. It's looking a little sloppy right now because this is the first year I'm growing in this space. It was covered all winter and solarized, but I am already experiencing a jewelweed infestation, which usually means in my area that poison ivy isn't far away. I haven't seen any yet, thank God, but I am being vigilant about it and will deal with it if I find it. But there's all kinds of orange jewelweed, which is native to my area, and it grows in abundance around here, but it is growing out of my in-ground patch. The soil here is very good though, so in general it's a good spot to grow in. Behind this deer netting I have garlic, peas, which I planted them next to each other, and then I went inside and looked up their companion planting, and it was only after I'd already put them in the ground that I discovered that garlic and peas are not good companions. But so far you can see there really doesn't appear to be any issue with it. The peas are growing fine, the garlic's growing fine. And I didn't grow much of either, so I'm not too worried about it. Next to the peas are some beets coming in. And next to those are some radishes. I've harvested some already. I'll harvest more today. And next to the radishes are Marvel of Four Seasons lettuce. This cage, my uncle showed up and said, hey, I saw this by the side of the road. Somebody was giving it away. So I have put my Cocozelle zucchini squash in here so that it can grow out and then up the trellis, but without totally overtaking the rest of the garden. At least that's the goal. So I'm hoping the cage will help control where the Cocozelle plants go. In this little patch here, some purple lady bok choy. My Snapdragons are, oh look, there's one. There's a little baby. Cool. I was gonna say the Snapdragons, I've planted Snapdragons in 3 places this year and none of them have come up, but those ones did. Cool. Some Michihili cabbage and some, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Spigiarella Lychee, which are like a broccoli greens. I'm growing those for the first time. Some Guardsman onion, which is a bunching onion variety. And over here, some purple Vienna Kohlrabi and Savoy cabbage. And I have those in 2 spots. One here in the ground, and then next to it in these buckets. I planted some in the buckets on the off chance that I had groundhogs bothering the stuff in the ground, but no problem with the groundhogs this year so far. Yay! These are my Virginia peanuts that I started indoors because I have a pretty short growing season here. I started them on April 12th and they'll go in the ground today. And they'll have room to take over this whole area right here. Up here, I have 2 types of trellising. One is this short cattle panel trellis. My indeterminate tomatoes are going here. And then these bamboo stakes, I'm going to try the Florida weave this year. So I have some determinate plants and 1 indeterminate growing at the base of those to give it a shot. So here I have Cherokee purple tomatoes, black strawberry cherry tomato, Ponderosa red, Berkeley pink tie-dye, giant crimson, that's the M.I. Gardner seeds that are being revived, a lychee tomato, and which one's this? Oh, a Heinz 33, or Heinz processor. This is one of my Peter peppers. I have a few started for the Peter pepper contest, the GSG Peter pepper contest by Joe over at Garden State Gardener. Some other peppers are a Brazilian starfish. This one is unlabeled, but I'm excited to find out what it was because and I know what it isn't, but I don't know what it is. That's a Sugar Rush peach. This is a Serrano, my favorite all-purpose hot pepper, and this is a Tabasco. Then there's this strip here in the middle. You can see a little bit of dark discoloration. I just emptied a bag of compost in this area, but I'm gonna top it more with compost and plant out my onion babies today. And so I have 2 rows of onions in half the bed, and then the peanuts in the next section behind me. Next to the in-ground bed are these are 2x6s and planter wall blocks. It's a great easy way to build raised beds without having tools. So if you're somebody who doesn't have tools, but you want to put a little raised bed, those blocks sell for about $3 a piece at your local big box store. And then you can get 2x6s and just ask them to cut them to whatever size you want. I have a 3x3 bed and then 2 4x3 beds that are in progress. In the grow bags, I have Count Dracula pepper, a Dottil pepper, another Peter pepper back there in that corner. This one is, oh, this is fun. This is a peach gum crossed with a red tiger. No idea what those peppers will end up being like. Then I have a berry cream, which is another bubble gum variety. It got a little sunburn, but it's okay. And then a lemon drop pepper. They need some water. We expected rain twice this week and didn't get it. So I need to do some watering today. Of course, today I'll water and then, you know, it'll rain, right? In this bed, the bed is prepped and ready to go. And in it will go all these greens. There's bok choy and mustard greens. What else did I put in here? Oh, chijimisai, which is my favorite. That's the vitamin green. All those little babies will get planted out today. And then this will be buckets of peppers and a couple of dwarf tomatoes. I'm not going to fill this bed with compost just because I'm running out of time and money to get compost. So I just need enough soil to fill the buckets, and then this will just hold buckets. It'll keep the pests out and kind of keep them contained and easy to identify and easy to harvest. This is cucumber patch, again, because I'm in a normal year, if I were seed saving, I would be concerned about cross-pollination, but this year I'm not. So one of these is a Titus F1 pickling cucumber from Nikitovka Seed Company in Ukraine, and the other one is a straight 8 slicer. So I have a slicing cucumber and a pickling cucumber. And then in this corner of the bed, I have some dill going that I'll plant in. It's a good companion plant, plus great for making pickles. You snooping around the neighbor's house. Hi, buddy. This is a daylily patch, and I pulled half of it out, and I'm planting coneflowers and yarrow in here instead. So 2 more perennials will fill this out. The other plants that are great for pollinators and a good companion plant is borage. And I'm planting borage back in the in-ground bed I showed you. I'm planting borage and marigolds between each of the tomato plants all along. They'll just alternate borage, marigold, borage, marigold, borage, marigold, all the way across. There's still so much to do, but I'm proud of what has gotten done so far. This is my exciting, I'm growing ranunculus this year. I love ranunculus, and I had ranunculus corms that I bought too late in the season last year, and then they dried out. And then I did a seed swap with someone, and she added a 4-pack of ranunculus corms. All 4 germinated, 3 lived. And so I have 3 ranunculus growing in this little red pot. I invested in some dwarf blueberries this year. These are peach sorbet dwarf blueberries. They won't fruit this year. This year's just their first year to get established, but they will fruit next year. Some other high bush varieties can take, 3 or 4 years to get established. So I'm excited about those. I have 2 of them in each of these blue pots. This is a Korean spice viburnum that I know is still alive. I know it. I've picked off some of the sprigs. I'm looking for life, and it's there. But we had a freeze, pretty hard freeze. After I had already put this out, I forgot to cover it. It's not rebounding. I'm gonna baby it anyway, and hope to get my Korean spice viburnum going. And inside the pot are some little baby purple lady bok choy too, just because I had the room to grow them, so I'm growing them. All these little seedlings, some of them I'll be potting up as I have soil available, and some will go next door to my uncle's house. Plus, I already gave away a bunch of plants to my other uncle. Lots of little tomatoes, little peppers, and more herbs. I'll find a home for them somewhere. How many of you are like me and you just oversow, overgrow, and then cram things in? Like, I'm determined to find a house for that. This planter has taken its sweet time getting going, but I see some life in here. There's some seeds germinating. There's a different variety germinating. When this thing is going and popping, it's a yellow, gray, and silver and white color combination of gray poppies, gold dust alyssum, some primroses, yellow primroses. I don't know, I put like 5 or 6 things. I have to go back over my notes and see. But it's finally starting to show signs of life. So it's going to be beautiful when it all comes in. In the stackables over here, I have baby kale and lettuce for a cut and come again garden. And then over in those Dollar Tree stackables, I have bush beans. There's Royal Burgundy, Provider, Gold Rush, and Red Swan. Had to think there for a minute. And those in the 2 little grow bags, I bought these on an impulse and I don't have a place to put them. But I need to make a place. Those are Thornless Raspberries, which I have always wanted to have. And I want to plant them here on the property. There is a kind of a wild patch of embankment over there along the road. And I don't know if the camera will focus. But you see those two kind of branches that are like arches? Those are actual wild berry bushes. And they're thriving there. So somewhere in that embankment, I think I can find a home for these thornless ones. What do you say, Holly? Did we cover pretty much everything? I think that's it for now. Oh, one more little project yet to be established is this wading pool. I'm going to use as a wading pool for me because it gets hot here. So I bought it and I'm going to set it up. I'm waiting. My uncle helps me out. He has a riding mower that he brings over and plows through all this. So next time he mows, he'll get that patch where I had winter sown jugs there and some planter wall blocks stacked, and he had been mowing around those things. He can mow straight over that now. And then I will put down a layer of cardboard to even out the ground, and then put this blue pool on top of it. And then around it is this 8-foot long, well, about 7.5 feet, I think it all came to, rigged bamboo teepee trellis that will go about 2/3 of the way around the pool. And then I'm growing Chinese noodle beans up of those. And it will create sort of a living teepee over the pool and provide some shade. And it'll expose the beans to sunlight. And the pool, because it's plastic, will receive and store heat from the sun, which will benefit the ground around it, which will help support the beans. And that's going to go right here behind the pink little kiddie pool, will be the big blue pool with the beans growing up the trellis. So that'll come when the mowing's done. A long growing season. I started sowing seeds for the hot peppers back in February to give them a good head start. I want mature, fully ripened, hot peppers on the plant. And I have such a short growing season and they take so long to get going that I gave them a head start. I did learn through trial and error that next year I can wait 2 weeks and still accomplish the same thing. But it's fine. And the peppers are doing fine. They're very healthy. I've been giving them a shot of nitrogen early on every 3 weeks, just using a fish and kelp emulsion, water soluble. When I plant them in the ground, they go in with a scoopful of fresh compost and some trifecta, which is a fertilizer I get from M.I. Gardner that's heavier in potassium and phosphorus that encourages blooming. Oh, I wanted to show you one more thing before I finish this tour. I'm going to take you back over to that stairwell of peppers. 1 second. I have this one cayenne plant that was already trying to bloom like 6 weeks ago. I pinched its first blossom off. None of the others had even begun to show any signs at all of being prepared to start fruiting. But this pepper is in a rush. So now that it's established, I'm allowing the blooms. And I've counted 11 so far. And look at that, a little baby cayenne pepper on the way. See if it'll get in focus. So that makes me very happy that the first of my major hot pepper crop is finally getting established. These are some herbs that'll go out today or tomorrow. Let's see. Got some dill, some more chamomile, salad burnet, sweet marjoram. This is pineapple mint grown from seed. I'll put that in a container. There's no way I'm planting that in the ground and let that go crazy. And then this is purple opal basil and lime basil. And what's back here? Oh yeah, there's some thyme and sweet marjoram, which I love. I grow a lot of sweet marjoram. Anyway, I'm learning a lot. I'm sharing it here. Thanks for hanging with me today. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you saw anything that I'm growing that you'd be interested in knowing more about. And let me know what you're growing. I'm especially excited to know what you're most excited to grow this year. Are you growing anything new? Like for me, it's the world of dwarf tomatoes. That is a purple rain dwarf tomato. This one is Bogema. Oh, this is a Ukrainian tomato. I got these from Nikitovka Seeds. Beautiful stocky plant with uniform red fruits, 6 to 8 ounces. I'm looking forward to that. This one, this is the tomato I'm most excited about, the Uluru Ochre. Everybody who's grown this plant says that they love the fruit. This one is a Russian apple tree and a silvery fir tree. 2 different types of dwarf tomatoes that have interesting foliage. Leave a comment. Let me know what's new in your garden. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.